welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show right now on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage to voice your opinions and thoughts. This is ET Now's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center in every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight on Influencer, we'll bring you a conversation with Moglix, and on Leader Focus, we'll bring you a segment on gifting as we approach the year end and the festive season. Tonight on Leader Focus, we bring a conversation with B2B marketplace Moglix that's doing its bit to help the industry transform with GST. I caught up with Rahul Garg, the founder and CEO of the company, to talk about why we don't, as a country, have credible industrial product sourcing, amongst other things. Take a listen. Rahul, thank you very much for speaking with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Let's kick this conversation off by asking you to talk very briefly about your company to our viewers, where the idea for Moglix came about, what the journey has been like so far.
So Moglix is a 2-year-old startup. We started this company looking at global B2B commerce space, and one of the early days, the inception was that there's a lot of work that has happened in the B2C commerce space, but the amount of work that has happened in the B2B commerce space is fairly limited, both in terms of technology, in terms of supply chain, in terms of organized distribution. So Moglix's mission is, how do we bring the best in technology, best in supply chain, best in organized distribution for the manufacturing industry.
Let's talk about some of the biggest challenges of your business and your industry. How much of industrial products are being sourced domestically right now? How much of it is from outside India?
It's a fantastic question. So if you look at it, most of the distribution in India has remained offline and has remained unorganized. What it means is that today 99% of all the industrial buying is happening through offline, using thousands and thousands of suppliers. So for a typical manufacturing plant, even with a turnover of 500 CR, on a monthly basis he's working with 1,000 suppliers, and each one of them are trying to get the products delivered to him in a fairly unorganized manner. So we found that these are some of the root causes which needs to be solved using technology. So bringing a one-stop solution where a manufacturing plant can buy all of the products that they need on a monthly basis using one single platform. Second, having a more predictable supply chain where they know that the goods will be delivered on time. Third, their ability to discover alternate products and get the best pricing that they need for running their manufacturing plant. And fourth, I think, which is becoming very, very important in the post-GST era, is about GST compliance, where every single manufacturer worries about making sure that his input tax credit in the GST era is preserved, both from a financial perspective as well as from a compliance perspective.
So then help me understand, if it is largely offline, what is really holding back having a credible supply chain from an industry point of view in India, Rahul?
In the post-GST era, I think there are three things that we need to solve for. One, we need to, just like in the B2C days, we need to evangelize that there might be a better technology-oriented, organized supply chain-oriented way of buying versus the habits that these manufacturing companies have been exposed for the last 40 years. The second thing which is important is building that technology which is both working effectively with the ERP solutions, but also working with the supplier ecosystem in a way which makes it easy for suppliers and buyers to communicate. And third, I think, which is also important, is that change in management in all of these organizations to start adopting this technology.
You were talking briefly about prices earlier. I presume that the biggest challenge for a small company, whether it's an MSME or an SME, is really pricing. How much of product prices are being driven up by the lack of a credible and consistent supply chain for small businesses, and how much can they really save on cost by working with a company such as yourself?
So, I think for the MSME category in particular, which are sub 100 CR companies, if you look at it, the kind of cost benefits that Moglix is able to pass on to many of these companies is anywhere between 10 to 30% based on how well they were buying in past. Now this happens due to two things. One, Moglix is starting to become a much larger consolidator of buying of these products, and therefore we get better pricing from our suppliers, better pricing from the manufacturer of some of these products. The second thing is we are serving some of the largest companies, and therefore our pricing of products is way better than what MSMEs today have access to.
GST is a big talk point. How much has your business been impacted, if at all, by GST?
So if you look at it, fantastic. GST is a fantastic reform. It affects both the supply chain as well as the way indirect taxation happens in the country. A lot of the impact is towards the B2B industry. And if you look at it, the impact can be classified more in terms of the midterm and the long-term benefits of the GST as a tax reform. So first thing is that it makes the economy firstly tax compliant. So you need to make sure that your entire supply chain is tax compliant. We launched a platform which is called greengst.com, particularly to solve for this problem. So Green GST is basically a SaaS platform which can be used by both buyers and suppliers, whether they are Moglix customers or non-Moglix customers. What this platform enables is two things. One, it connects to the GSTN system seamlessly using APIs. Second, it can connect to the internal ERP systems of all the companies. Now, what needs to happen from a compliance perspective in GST is every single B2B tax invoice needs to be filed into GSTN system, and that will be used to give input tax credit to each of the buyers you are serving. This platform enables seamlessly that invoices being filed, invoices being reconciled, all the timelines being adhered, and all the compliances being met from the tax liability perspective of a seller and a buyer.
99% or 100% of the biggest challenges of all entrepreneurs, of course, is fundraising. So talk to us about how you've raised funds, what your experience there has been.
We have announced 3 rounds of institutional fundraising. We announced our seed back in 2015, Series A in 2016. We recently announced our Series B funding, which has seen participation from IFC, part of World Bank, Accel Partners, Jungle Ventures, VH Capital, and some of the angels which have supported us in past or in the new rounds that has happened. So including Mr. Ratan Tata, Mr. Shailesh Rao, Mr. Neeraj Arora, and some of the other international angel investors, both coming from a technology or a manufacturing background, because we think the right blend of solving a B2B commerce problem is when you bring in investors, bring in the team which has a knowledge, expertise, as well as commitment towards manufacturing and technology.
Let's talk technology and how it's really being used by the manufacturing industry. Why are more manufacturers not really using technology to manage their supply chain, and how can that be overcome? How about manufacturers in tier 2 and tier 3 towns? Do you see them using technology very differently?
First thing is, I think we have a strong wave going on in the country and globally about digitization. And I think I want to touch upon that point because any operational process, if you are not doing it in a digital manner, it's almost criminal that why you are not doing it using digital manner. And that is what manufacturers in India, both due to lack of access of technology, the lack of understanding of that technology, the lack of putting slight money behind that technology, has been the state of the country. I think Moglix can change every single manufacturing organization by enabling every single supply chain process to be digital. If you are having a conversation between a buyer and supplier, that needs to happen using digital platform. It cannot be happening using phones, SMS, WhatsApp, or non-digital means of communication, because your ability to have consistent process, your ability to have consistent communication channels, your ability to track the SLAs is very, very poor without having a digital technology in place. We have designed a technology which enables both large manufacturers who want to use this platform for interacting with every single supplier of theirs, or for the suppliers who want to use this for putting in their entire catalogs and getting access to more and more buyers using this platform.
All right, let's close this conversation by talking about what's next on the radar for you.
So Moglix is expanding. So one, we are hiring great talent who are passionate about working with manufacturing sector and digitizing the supply chain. Second, we are expanding geographically. So we are already present in north, west and south. We are launching multiple locations in the coming year. We are looking for rockstar people to join the organization as we continue to make impact towards larger and larger number of manufacturing companies. And I think with GST being launched, there is a lot of things that are happening, not just on the Moglix front, but also on the green GST in efforts towards making a GST compliant supply chain for all our buyers and suppliers.
Rahul Garg, thank you very much for speaking with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Time for a break. On the other side, we will turn the spotlight on the gifting industry on Leader Focus. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on Leader Focus, we're bringing a chat with Kushal Agarwal, founder of Gift XOXO, and Pranay Punjabi, founder of Theo Creations, on this gifting segment. Do take a look. Kushal, Pranay, thank you all both very much for being with us here tonight to talk about the gifting market, to talk about the festive season, the demand that we're likely to see from the festive season, and also I will come to you later on corporate gifting. Let's start though by talking about the fact that we're in the midst of the festive season, in the midst of course of the wedding season as well. It's the year end, so this is going to be the busiest period for any entrepreneur who's in the segment. From your own experience, I want the two of you to talk about how you ensure that you are able to meet the demand, and perhaps what role technology plays in being able to understand the demand and meet it.
Sure. So, to start with, gifting industry is something which is rapidly changing. So previously, if you have seen in weddings and festive season, people used to gift idols. I mean, you know, which can be worshipped. So it can be a Ganesh idol for, let's say, for the Hindus. It may be a Buddha for a neutralist type of, you know, scenarios. Over a period of time, it is been getting changed from these utensils and these idols to more of some electronic gadgets. Then there's a trend which we have seen, which is changing from electronic gadgets to gift vouchers. So trends are changing, and people have started realizing that the product gifting is something which is in, but you know, it has to move towards more of an experiential point of view.
Sure, that's interesting. Is this, you know, the trends that you're talking about, the gifting experiences, is that something that you are seeing in big town India? How's rural India changing when it comes to its preferences?
So, it's highly visible in the metros and the tier 1, tier 2 cities. But yes, in tier 3 and tier 4 cities, we see mithais and you know, chocolates being dominating. So if you see in these type of occasions, companies like Cadbury and Nestle, these guys come up with some sort of festive packaging, some chocolates and some mithais. Ferrero Rocher comes up with some sort of festive you know, packaging boxes, for the weddings and a couple of other occasions. So, so in tier 3 or tier 4 cities, it will take some time to set the trend. But yes, in the metros, we can see the trends which are changing quite, you know, quite well.
Okay. You specialize in corporate gifting.
That's right.
Talk to our viewers, the MSMEs who are watching our show, about if they're looking at breaking into this niche.
Right.
How have you broken into it? What should they keep in mind?
So basically, I started 5 years ago in 2012 out of my own room in my own house. So you don't really need an investment. The barriers of entry are very low in corporate gifting, but you need to know what you want to specialize in. Like we specialize in tech, because I think that's what the consumer wants these days.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
You had
yeah.
some questions and some insights on this.
So I want to ask him, what do you think the trend in gifting is these days? Do you think it's more of the conventional gifting, still with the mithais and all, as you were talking about, or do you think it's changing?
So gifting happens can happen in two ways. If you want to talk about how these markets are organized, I would say the corporate gifting market is a little more organized than the personal gifting. Because in personal gifting, if you see, people still like to gift that mithais and chocolates because they are commonly and very easily available. But when you talk about the corporate gifting, there is a scope of negotiation which happens with the admin managers of different companies, where you suggest them a couple of options, and then basis that they select as per their brand values, and then they kind of give it. So yes, the trends are changing, and this gifting industry is an industry of innovation. Every time you see some other new things coming up.
True.
And yes, it's a very golden period for kind of people to explore new options, and they kind of gift.
Okay.
Is pricing, very dynamic in this industry? How does it work?
You buy a Cadbury chocolate, it's at, let's say, 20-25 bucks. The same chocolate is being packaged in a nice format and is sold at 300 or 400 rupees, right? I somehow feel gifting is all about packaging, nice packaging, and because you are making someone feel special. And if your packaging is not nice, then it would not give that feel of a gift, basically. So gift in India is considered as a gift when it is given in hand, something in hand, and it has to be in a presentable format.
Okay, you had something on GST. How's GST changing our industry?
Actually, GST has been the most beneficial to us, because if you're aware, earlier there was VAT, there was CST, there was CFOM, there was octroi, there was excise duty, which made business very hard for interstate. If I had clients in Maharashtra, because I'm Mumbai based, no problem. But if I have a client anywhere else, it was too much paperwork. So all that has gone away. Service-based industries used to hesitate to pay VAT because we are goods-based industry. Now everything has come together, so everyone is happily paying taxes.
I think you're one industry that is actually happy in terms of the introduction of GST.
We are extremely happy.
So there are two aspects to it in the GST as well. So as he is in the product as a gift, so we make awesome experiences, and that can be gifted to people. So, so there is a dairy farm who can probably give you an experience like milking a cow, or there can be a flying school who is hosting an experience, saying, let's say, a helicopter ride, a joy ride, or there can be a restaurant who is kind of making you learn how to make pizzas, wood fire pizzas, and you dine with the master chef. So, so these experiences are something which are quite new and trendy. But how we do business is we treat all these experiences at some market price. So the hosts, the local hosts who are selling these experiences, they cap an experience at a market price, and we work on the commission which they give it to us, and we pay tax on the commission, basically. So now we are standardizing the GST to 18% on the commissions.
We've run out of time, but you were saying something interesting earlier, that the entry barrier to this industry is very low. As an entrepreneur, is that a good thing or is that bad?
As we said before, it's a very unorganized sector. Too many small players. There's small money to be made for everyone, but there's the entry in the bigger players is very high, because there's a lot of investment, a lot of big clients. But yes, corporate gifting is an industry which most people can do without a big investment in it.
So how do you go from being that small player to being someone with a little bit of size?
So we started this concept in the year of 2014, and we took around 6 months to kind of do an R&D, and eventually we realized that experience is something which is picking up. People, if you see the trend, I mean, you can actually follow a couple of trends, like you used to travel by Volvo buses. So 10 years back, it was more of a luxury. 10 years later, introduction of the Volvo buses, it has become a need, basically, right? On a similar format, your parents, your family members, everyone wants to put something unique and different in Facebook, right? The trends are changing. No one is.
So
is
trends are changing definitely. Then the demand and the companies which are servicing them is definitely changing, and there is a market for everyone then. All right, gentlemen, thank you both very much for being with us here tonight.
Thank you.
Out of time then on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have anything you want to say to us, do remember you can always write in at leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com. On social media, tweet at me at Sunanda_J or LOT_ET now. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET now, or call us on that number you see on your screen. We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.